welcome to Board Game Breakfast. Today is September 12th, 2016. I'm your host, Tom Vassell, and we are here to talk about board games and the people who play them. I got a lot of things going on here, but I did want to mention that if you live in Connecticut or anywhere in that vicinity, we will be there this weekend at the Portal Game Store in Manchester. And folks, this is, we want you to come out and see us. We'll be there Thursday evening, all day Friday, and Saturday to the early afternoon. I'll be there. Z, Sam, Eric, we'll all be there. We'll certainly say hi. I can't promise to play a game with everyone. We'll try to play games with as many people as we can. But we'll certainly, if you come by and say hi, we'll be doing a live top 10 and a game show. Both of those events, I believe, are on Friday. So it should be entertaining, and I hope to see some of you there. I'm looking very much forward to that. I'll be doing a live Q&A tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's actually an important time for you to come back, because during that Q&A, normally I do them during the day, but I'm doing that because I'm recording a lot today in preparation for leaving this week. But during the 9 p.m. thing, we're going to announce the big mega winner of our $1,000 gift certificate for the Cool Stuff contest that we started at Gen Con. So there's a lot of possible winners. Hopefully you are one of them, maybe. So come back and I'll roll the die live then so that we all know it wasn't a setup. Okay, so that's going to be, and then you can also ask questions and things. So that's going to be tonight. Other than that, I think it's time to get to the news. Well, there's a good bit of controversial and unfun news, I suppose, this week. So let's get started in several of these. First of all, AEG has publicly announced, or at least they publicly announced to retailers, that they are basically going to be following in the steps of Fantasy Flight Games / Asmodee North America, where they're going to be putting a minimum price on their products. Then you won't be able to sell their products online unless you get special permission from them. Pretty much the outline is pretty much the same thing Asmodee North America is doing. AEG is another fairly large company, so it remains to be seen how many companies continue to do this as time goes by and what this means for the online game community. Zev Schlesinger and Paul Girardi are both suing Myriad Games. Now, you may not know any of those names, but Zev is the man who founded Z-Man Games, and he and Paul went into a business relationship with Dan Yarrington, who runs some game stores in New England called Myriad Games. Well, I believe they're down to one game store now. Dan Yarrington is also the head of Game Salute. And so they are alleging that he has taken $100,000 from him. Dan has responded saying that they will fight this in court and they didn't do anything. So there's certainly some back and forth there. I don't really know how this will affect Game Salute and its products. It doesn't have anything to do with Z-Man since Zev's no longer with them. So you can go and read the court documents there. I can't really comment further on this one because I know a lot of the details and I have known them now for quite a long time. And if you can look at my current relationships with companies and figure out that, you know, there's things involved there also. But it's there on the internet for you to find out. Fantasy Flight Games and Games Workshop have announced that they are basically breaking up. Now, this is something we all pretty much knew was happening, especially when Fantasy Flight Games announced Rune Wars at Gen Con, which was essentially looked like a competitor to Warhammer 40 Fantasy. This is going to go into effect, February 28, 2017. Fantasy Flight Game will no longer be selling any of the games in their catalog. And there's a lot of their games that came from Games Workshop. You might not know Fury of Dracula is a Games Workshop game, but also Blood Bowl Team Manager, Chaos in the Old World, Forbidden Stars. We will never see an expansion now. All those games, as soon as they made this announcement, have gone out of print and are being sold for crazy prices everywhere. So if you want to get one, you might still be able to get it for a decent price. If you see one in the store and you were thinking about getting it, I would recommend getting them now. It's probably only going to get worse. I don't think we'll see any of these games reprinted by Games Workshop because I'm guessing because Fantasy Flight Games probably owns the rights to the mechanisms for the games. Games Workshop owns the themes, and so maybe you will see remakes of these games from Fantasy Flight, but I wouldn't count on any of that nonsense. I don't know who decided to leave whom here, but it is what it is. Games Workshop is now making a lot of board games on their own, so who knows. And then, we're still in the controversial news, Roll for It Deluxe Edition has come out, and this is from Calliope Games, and this is another Target exclusive game. The Target exclusive games are starting to grow. Local game stores who have been yelling about online game stores for years are now starting to turn their attention to Target, who is trying to stop both the local game stores and the online game stores. So it's an interesting thing. It's interesting to me to watch these companies. They're saying they want to support the local game store, and then they're kind of giving exclusives and stuff to Target. So that's kind of an interesting dichotomy there. Something is going to break eventually here, but who knows when it will happen, what's going to go on. R&R Games, in conjunction with Hutch, has announced a game called Ohm. This is a game that has influence. You're building a cathedral. Looks like everything from Eurogame thrown into one box, but it does look interesting and very nice. There's an expansion coming for Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Jack the Ripper and the West End Adventures. All right, people really, really like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I have not played it yet, but I will. It's on my shelf. Z-Apocalypse 2. The Z-Apocalypse is the zombie game that's completely overshadowed by Zombicide. But Z-Apocalypse, I played the original one and enjoyed it. This is the second one. This was kickstarted last year. Defend the Burbs, and it will be coming to market soon. And Rather Dashing Games has announced a new, it looks like an abstract game. I mean, it uses fire, water, earth, and air. Ooh, that's a new one. Called Elements. But it looks really nice, this game. All right, well, that's the news. I thought Board Games news was supposed to be more happy than that. Maybe next week it will be. Anyway, let's get to the Kickstarter news.
Happy breakfast, everybody. From monsters to cowboys, we've got quite the mix to look at today, so let's get going. People who know me know that I really enjoy solo board games, but they're not super common, which is why I'm excited about Pentaquark. This is an 18-card solitaire game that's part of Button Shy Games' Wallet series. Call this a deck preservation game with the goal of having 5 specific attributes left in your deck at the end of the game by making tactical choices about moving cards into the scatter, the discard, or the detector zone. Cards protect each other by matching opposite attributes, but you have to watch out for the annihilation cards. Pentaquark has cool-looking art and makes for a great small footprint and quick-playing solitaire experience. Button Shy runs quick campaigns for these games, so if you want to get in on this one, you need to pledge this week. In the US, you can get a copy for just $10, and the campaign allows you to add on the rest of the Wallet series to your pledge as well. It's been a while since a pay-what-you-want game hit Kickstarter, but 1000 XP is reviving that pricing approach with Under My Bed. This is a quick bluffing and deduction game that plays 3 to 8 people, in which everyone is a monster trying to figure out which player is actually a kid in a monster costume. Players ask each other questions to try and zero in on the kid, but the monsters always have to tell the truth, and the kid in disguise, they can lie as much as they want to. Featuring charming art, Under My Bed is the kind of quick game that you can just toss in your bag and play with just about anyone. This is also a quick campaign, so you have just a week from this air date to pledge. As mentioned, this is a pay-what-you-want campaign, so pledge anything over $1 plus shipping and you'll get the game. But if you pay at least $5 plus shipping, you'll get 3 bonus monster cards. Gang Fight Games is bringing us the second edition of Blackwater Gulch. This is a Western horror-themed skirmish game in which players will use their leader to build up their gangs to battle it out in the streets of Blackwater Gulch. Each character has its strengths and weaknesses, but the newly added loot deck allows you to equip the gang with powerful abilities. Gameplay is intended to be quick for a skirmish game, around an hour a game, and it's highly customizable based on which gangs you include. This second edition adds 3 new gangs to the game, complete with resin cast minis. You can get the updated base rules and new cards for $45 plus shipping, but to get all the new goodies, it'll take a pledge of $95 plus shipping. Bezier Games is back with the latest in the One Night series with One Night Ultimate Aliens. This time, aliens have landed outside of the village and have a bunch of technology with them. This version of One Night brings a ton of new rules and new abilities, including variable powers that rely on the free app to randomize from game to game. Now, along with the rolls, players are numbered, and odds or evens will influence who's impacted by different actions. One Night Alien is compatible with the other games in the One Night series, and, of course, the app features the dulcet tones of Eric Summerer guiding you through the invasion. You can get a copy of One Night Ultimate Alien for a pledge of $25 plus shipping. And finally, Nightmarium is getting a worldwide release after being out in Eastern Europe for a year. Players are part of the Order of the Dreams and are taming nightmare monsters. You'll assemble monsters from the head, torso, and leg cards, each of which has different abilities. These abilities trigger when the monster is completed, and the actions resolve from top to bottom, and some of them help and some of them hurt you. Monsters belong to one of 4 factions, and there's also a slight bonus when you assemble a monster from the same faction. But really, you want to complete monsters quickly because the first player to 5 complete creatures wins. The art is suitably scary, and the game is inexpensive with a copy requiring a pledge of just $15. Okay, that's all I've got for you this show. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hello, my friends. I'm Professor Hans von Puppet. Today we'll be taking a look at a Euro-inspired area enclosure worker
placement bluffing game, which is heavy on downtime, but still gatewayish and fiddly.
Hello. Huh. I just realized something. I don't own Carcassonne. What? So, what does that have to do with this word? And what is the word? Bird? No, bird is not the word. The word is meeple. Yeah. So, I have this meeple here from Troyes, but it's still the same design as the Carcassonne meeple. So, what is a meeple? It looks like a person, right? In Carcassonne, you use tokens to represent you as a person to be on the roads and in the cities and on the fields. And these persons, they look like this, it's just a head with hands and legs, and they have a very nice shape, a rounded shape. And in the late 2000, a person named Alison Hansel was playing Carcassonne. And you have these different colors, This is my people and this is your people, Matches the shirt. So, yeah. Can you place my people here? And take my people there. And eventually, during the night, my people became meeple. And meeple became synonymous with this kind of figure. So this also later evolved into other meeples, but also to animeeples, or even sheeple. Sheeple might also refer to us as, mindless persons following the... I find meeples very cute, and they can look nice on display as well. And this year I'm going to Essen as well, and there they will sell meeple jewelry, and meeple... what is called plates and forks and everything. So I'm looking forward to get some meeple stuff. So meeples equals goodies. I don't know. Okay, thanks for watching.
Well, I hope that cleared things up for you. Until next time, have fun gaming.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Bassel.
Jason Levine.
And today we have a question from Ramon. Ramon says that he loves games. He started with a collection of like 10 games, and he wanted to get people involved in games, so he invited people over, and they're playing games, and everyone's enjoying games now. His collection's up to the hundreds, and it's really bothersome to him that no one else is buying any games, and he's the teacher always, and he's the one who buys all the games, and everyone likes playing them, but they don't like getting more involved in the hobby, and that bugs him. Should he feel that way?
No, I mean, if you're the leader of the group, and there's a leader, there's an alpha person who buys the games, gets everyone to play the games, and that person, you take on that responsibility. If you really want to promote gaming in your group or promote it to your friends, then you might have to take on the responsibility of buying those games, teaching those games, and making sure that those games get played, and I think that's part of it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you're required to get the games. You have these games already. You've bought a whole pile of games, and people are playing them with you. Who's making you buy more games? Nobody is. So if you don't want to buy more games, then don't. And then if people are like, well, why don't you buy more games? You could then say, well, I don't have a lot of money to buy all these new games all the time. Maybe you guys could buy a couple of them. But if they never complain, then again, who cares if they're having a good time playing the games that you have? I wouldn't worry that much about it. You could also not hold gaming meetups for maybe a month or two and see what happens. But then you're hurting yourself. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
No, exactly. And I don't think you have to worry too much. I think that, in general, if you have enough games, you can play games again. I play games more than one time, and you don't need to only play games once. It's not so cult of the new that you need to just play it once.
Yeah, so again, I can understand what you're thinking. You're like, oh, why am I the one putting all the effort and energy into it? But if it's something you like doing, then you won't really care that much. And I mean, if they were yelling at you and saying, why don't you buy this game? And oh man, same old games. Well, then you can say something. But if they're having a good time, then they're coming along for the ride. I personally like that situation because then I get to pick the games.
You always pick the games in our group. When do I ever get to pick a game?
Well, when you're not with me. No, there's but what I'm saying is, because of that. Now, you could have the other extreme where they all went out and bought games and played without you. And I'm telling you, you buying the games and teaching them is better.
Yes, I agree.
Friends, I'm very excited about today's Whitleypedia. We are going to do a top 5 micro list. Now, we talk about what a great resource Board Game Geek is, and it is. It's incredible. But what about the presence of board games on perhaps a more popular website? So we're doing the top 5 board game sites on Wikipedia.
Number 5, Pandemic.
Okay, right from the bat, this page has problems. You could say it has multiple issues. Any of you wiki gnomes who want to go fix these issues before I can, feel free. Otherwise, we have a great description of gameplay, expansions, and so forth. But if you look in the spin-offs section, there's a bit about Pandemic Legacy, which fails to note that this is also the #1 game on Board Game Geek.
Number 4, Seven Wonders.
Seven Wonders is really good, and not only does it have great information about the game, but it's got some cool information about the actual Seven Wonders of the ancient world. There's a little bit too much information on fan expansions, which in my mind shouldn't be on the page at all, right? They're just fan expansions, but that's not a big deal. Where this one really falls flat with me is there's a separate section for awards and honors. Really? They can't just be one?
Number 3, Ticket to Ride.
Next up is Ticket to Ride, which is wonderfully well researched. They got great information on the expansions without ever going overboard for it, or off the rails. And, best of all, they've got a section for awards and honors.
Number 2, Settlers of Catan.
Next up is Settlers, which is virtually perfect. They've even got great pictures of people playing Settlers of Catan there on the main page. It's perfect. Stupid, sexy settlers.
Number 1, Magic the Gathering.
Look at everything they have here. Great summary of the history of the game, description of the different colors, information on the secondary market. But maybe it's not a fair comparison. How can you compare any one single game to the entirety of this Magic the Gathering category killer? But what are these other games going to do about it? Whine and tap their white land for defense?
Well, hello, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. Last week, I showed you my makeover of Tiny Epic Galaxies and showed you how I normal-sized it to not so tiny epic galaxies. And this is where I actually made bigger boards, bigger rocket ships. A lot of fun. But there was a flaw that was graciously brought to my attention by Peter Terry, Bathtub NZ, and Blaine Mather. And I thank you for keeping me honest. Because the problem is, these ships, as awesome as they are big, don't fit on the little cards very well. How did I overlook this? Not sure, but I'm definitely gonna write up a report and send it to the playtest area and find out what happened. We'll get to the bottom of this. But in the meantime, I had to think of a fix. And I came up with 2 options. And I'm gonna show you those right now. So I first addressed the rocket ship issue. Since they are so big, I wanted to find something smaller, and I remembered backing a project on Kickstarter quite a while ago called Alien Frontiers, and they offer these rocket dice. And I like the rocket dice, but I'm not a big fan of using them in the game. These dice are the perfect size for both the small cards and the big cards. So that solved that problem. The other problem was the card size, and so I made bigger cards. And here's a few of them so far. I haven't done all of them yet, but they work a lot better, and you can use the small dice or the big dice on them. So either way, 2 solutions, and I think I'm going to use the big cards with the smaller dice. Well, thanks again to Peter, Bathtub, and Blaine for showing me where I erred in my makeover of not so tiny epic galaxies, because now that I've been able to come up with a couple other solutions, the game plays much better. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover, and thanks for keeping me accountable. We'll see you next time.
Hi, welcome to the 101. Well, we've covered a lot of different painting topics over the last few weeks, even the last couple of months. And I've been thinking it's time to teach you guys how to paint something, how to get your hands on something, but you have to do it within the time frame of this magazine. So I decided to pick out a game that I thought would be very simple and that we can squeeze each component into 2 minutes. And that is the new game from Gale Force 9, Tanks. Very easy, fun, and a game that you can play with your son or daughter, and you'll enjoy it. It plays easily onto a tabletop, or you can even play it on your kitchen table. A really neat little game, and it's not too hard to put together, and the rules are really, really simple, and it's just a fun game. So next week we're going to start with the Americans, and we're going to start with the Shermans. So I'm going to teach you how to paint a Sherman tank in under 2 minutes. So I hope you guys will join me as we're going to learn how to paint tanks. And then from there we'll just go on and we'll do the Germans, the Russians, and even the British. And it'll be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks, and it'll teach you how to do something so simple and get the enjoyment of actually painting a tank and doing it very, very well. Well, we'll see you next week when we start with the Shermans. And until next time, I'm Rob Warren, and we'll see you soon.
Hey folks, this week I'm going to be finishing up the 40 years of great games. We'll be taking a look at the year 2014, 2015, and even a little bit of a peek at what I like so far from 2016. I'm also going to be reviewing several games. Probably the biggest one is going to be Star Trek Ascendancy, but we're also going to be taking a look at Tada, Legendary Civil War, Speechless, 12 Days of Christmas. So there's a lot of different games, some kids games too, and different things. We're also going to be posting another talkback this week. There's going to be, I think, a board game blender coming out this week. So there's really a lot of different things coming on. Sam and Z went to West Texas Tabletop Convention, so you'll probably see a little bit from that. Also, of course, our podcast and all the different shows that we put on. Many episodes will be coming out this week, and you can see all of those at dicetower.com.
Hello, Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here. And with more and more and more games being produced each year, more and more games are being funneled through the available production facilities that are out there. The resulting simultaneous increase in output and decrease in production time increases the possibility for mistakes to be made. So here comes a series that's going to discuss common problems that seem to be encountered during board game production, their causes, what effect they have on consumers, and what, if anything, can be done to prevent these problems from happening in the first place. For example, the thing that started me thinking about all of this in the first place is the copy of Bloodborne that I obtained at Gen Con. Now, before even opening it, I realized something's amiss. The box is covered in these little stickers correcting the game's player count on the outside of the shrink wrap. The game also includes several monster cards, and some of the monsters are bosses. Now, to differentiate them from the regular monsters, their cards are clearly labeled with the text BOSS. At least, they're supposed to be. The boss monsters in my copy, from the original print run, are lacking this text. But perhaps the most perplexing recent example of a production error can be found in the rulebook for the new version of Royals. Its description of the game's contents includes 46 blue cubes and 46 red ones, even though there are no red or blue cubes in the game at all. What's more, that text appears directly next to an image of the actual cubes that are in the game, which clearly demonstrates the real colors of cubes that were used. It's right there. Therefore, this can't just be a case of the game's components being changed at the factory at the last moment, because the rulebook's computer files were updated with the correct photo, just not the corresponding correct text. Now, I don't want to come across as mocking these games, because these aren't isolated incidents. Every company has had their fair share of typos. So what? I mean, every industry makes mistakes, right? Well, unfortunately, I believe that such errors have a greater impact on the enjoyment and usability of board games than they would in many other entertainment industries. Do you agree, or am I full of beans? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And next time, we'll continue with a discussion on the impact that these issues can have on board game customers.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another segment of Board Gaming with Colleagues with To Die For Games. I'm Mandy, the board gaming pinup girl.
I'm Tracy, the gaming maven.
And I'm Steph, the games teacher. I'm craving me some nigiri. We should go for sushi because it's
lunchtime! So today we are taking a look at Sushi Go Party. The game was created by Phil Walker Harding, published by Game Right Games, plays in about 20 minutes for 2 to 8 players.
The objective of the game is to be the one to make the sushi that gives you the most points over 3 rounds.
In Sushi Go Party, a number of different varieties of sushi and desserts will be available for you to pick from in order to make your ultimate sushi meal.
Sounds delicious. I actually have the original Sushi Go, and I almost kind of want to switch out for this one because it has the board and some other really fun treats. What do you guys think?
Well, the biggest thing I like about this is the fact there are 8 or 10 different ways you can lay out, pull different cards. So some are more competitive, some are more point related, some are more family friendly, and that is what makes me prefer this one over the original.
Right.
I agree completely. It's more flexible, gives you more gameplay opportunities. I really enjoy Party.
Yeah, so party, exactly. Fun times. I think we're gonna stick with mine for now. I'll just, we'll just borrow their copy during lunch break, so better get to it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Hi, chappies. Would you like to smell a brand new game which is fresh from France? Yeah? Well, this is top scent.
In Top Scent, players will have to recognise fruit from their smell.
At the beginning of the game, you'll have to take these 12 pots out of the box, take the lids off of them, and place them on the bottom because underneath it's marked what smell it is, and that is pear. Wow.
In this 3 to 6 player game, each player will have a equal amount of cards placed in front of them face down.
Starting with the youngest player, they will take one of these pots at random. They will smell it themselves, and then they will pass it on to all the other players so they can have a smell. The youngest player will also take this dice, roll it, and whatever the result is will determine how many of those fruit that the players need to find.
Starting with the youngest player, they will place a card into the middle of the table to create a stack. The next player will place a card on top of that stack, followed by the next, and so on, just to a point when a player thinks that they know what this smell is, they've counted the right amount in their head of what that fruit is, then they tap the stack. They then secretly look at the base of the pot, and then they count the fruit marked on the cards. If there is the correct number, they win those cards. If they have made a mistake, they have to take a token as a penalty, and they have to sit out the rest of the round while the other players continue to play. The game continues until one player has won all of the cards. And then we have a winner.
So there you have it, Top Scent, a fun, fruity family game which would leave you with the sensation of famished. Ooh, prunes. Would you like one?
Well, last year, right after Thanksgiving. I did a board game breakfast called Tom is Fat because I had realized that I had been gaining too much weight, and I said that I was going to try to lose 40 pounds by the time I turned 40. I turned 40 this past Thursday, and thank you for all the people who said happy birthday through Facebook in different ways. And one kind soul even sent me a hat. I also got a book. So it was very nice of you folks to send me things. It was just very nice of people in general, and I appreciate the kindness of everybody. But my goal was to lose 40 pounds, and I said this publicly because I said that when you're trying to lose weight, so you kind of need people to kind of poke you in the back. And we try not to fat shame people, right? But I was kind of on my own case here. I'm turning 40. I just went this past week for a checkup by the doctor who told me you probably need to lose some weight. I was like, well, I already lost some. He also found an earbud that was stuck in my ear. My ear had been hurting for like half a year. Can you imagine that? And I told him about that, and he went inside, found an earbud. Who knows how that got in there? But that was interesting. Probably a little gross too, right? Anyhow, so I did lose the 40 pounds. I lost 42 pounds, actually. Now, I probably would have lost more than that, except summer convention season is just not very helpful to losing weight. And I mean, I had lost 40 pounds probably by March. And then I kind of just plateaued and went up and down a little bit. Now that convention season is coming to an end or getting closer to an end. I'm going to try my best to lose more weight. Obviously, I like to lose another 40 pounds, although losing another 40 pounds in a year is a little bit more difficult. Going from 285 to 245 was one thing. Going from 245 to 205 or 210 is going to be a trickier process, but I think it can be done. And either way, I like to keep my weight the same. I'd like to thank everybody for your encouragement, and I told people don't tell me how to do it. I know how to do it, and yet some people still sent me emails that said, do you know exercising and dieting help? Like, really? But I do appreciate the spirit in what that was said. And I mean, it is nice when people come up and say, hey, you look good, which is, as we all know, a lie anyway. This is one of those. So what did I learn from the experience? I mean, first of all, you got to put your mind to something, and really that's kind of how the Dice Tower is the way it is, because I put my mind to and said, I'm going to review games. I'm going to review games. I'm going to review games. This was back when it was a hobby. I was like, no, but I'm just going to keep reviewing games because I want this hobby to grow. I want people to read and what I'm writing. At that time, I was writing reviews, and it's not going to happen unless I keep doing it and keep doing it. And I put that into it, and that kind of same stick-to-itiveness really helped with the diet, where I'm like, oh, right, what am I going to do? And it helped that I got scale that I then, keep track of my weight every day. And it's kind of like a number game, like, oh, okay, I went down a little bit, went up a little bit, but that's okay. And I have a Withing scale, and that kind of shows you your overall going down, which has helped dramatically. Eating healthy, drinking water, or especially not drinking soda and other sugary drinks, that certainly helps. Now, I certainly in the last 3 or 4 days have had cake and pie and all that sort of thing for my birthday, but we're back on that wheelhouse today, going back and trying to eat healthy as we go on. But overall, my recommendations are this. In these kind of situations, I found that having other people is helpful. I mean, I had 1,000+ people that I told that I was losing weight. So when you tell 1,000+ people, you're going to get a lot of help. But everyone has friends and stuff. And you know what? When it comes to this, sometimes people do not want you to lose weight because they feel like you losing weight is making them look bad, which should not be the case. And people should not feel that way. When I went to lose weight, I wasn't calling anyone else fat. I'm saying I'm losing weight. Now, Jason decided that he also needs to lose weight, and he made it into this, let's do it. So it's like having my own personal trainer coming around all the time saying, let's lose weight. So that was very helpful too. But I think that working with other people, when people tell you that they are trying to do something, maybe to, quit smoking or whatever it might be, that encouragement from person to person is really big deal. Even in gaming, we got to be careful sometimes not to you're trying to not get angry when you lose games anymore. How can I help with that? Oh, you're trying not to buy so much Magic the Gathering cards anymore. How can I help with that? And I think we can really help each other because really, like we say in the Dice Tower, it's about board games, but especially the people who play them. And that really is the case. Okay? And so I'm really thankful for the people who strove to help me. And so I don't look great. I never will look great. but I feel a whole lot better than I felt back in November, and I don't feel quite as fat now. And I did my goal. I lost 40 pounds by the time I turned 40. Now let's see what other goals that I can make and reach, but I can do that with the help of my friends. And then when I say my friends, I'm including you guys there. So thank you for that. And also, once again, thank you for whoever sent me that purple hat. Amazing. Anyhow, let's go back to more gamery stuff.
Hi guys. Formula One is struggling. Drivers are angry over new rules and an arduous decision-making process, and even Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone has said that the current series of Formula One races is crap. So it's time to sell. And selling is very close because a US media company is willing to put up $8.4 billion. Now, I don't care much about Formula One, but I do care about the game that I'm playing this week. A game that I got to know during the last UK Games Expo when I sat down with my friends from the Critical Twits. This week I am playing Formula D. In Formula D, players control a race car, and they also get a gearbox and a sheet to keep track of their car's vital systems. Each round you can shift up one gear, which means you get to throw a bigger die, custom-made dice, which means that your car will go faster. The trick, however, is in the corners. You need to make sure that you end your movement in a corner, and in difficult corners maybe 2 times or even 3 times. So shifting back at the right time is key. You can mitigate a little bit by using the brakes or using up your tires. Try to shift down more gears, but if you do that too much, chances are your car will spin or worse, blow up. There's no deep hidden strategy in the game. It's just a blast to play with 4 to 10 people. And even if you're with a lower player count, you could all use 2 cars. There's a big collection of maps available, but I love playing on the Dutch course, which is Zandvoort aan Zee. I hope I have sparked your interest for this beautiful, fun race game, Formula D. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Hey there! Today, Niels Cyril's Brettspiele, the best and the worst for Steam Time, Fams and Cosmos, and I will see you soon! My favorite part on Steam Time is this modular board. It consists out of these 6 areas here, and you have a forecast because next time you know exactly the top one will be going down here, and all the other ones will be slided up. However, there are coming new pieces, new crystals and things like that. However, but you know exactly what comes up in the next round. So this modular board with a forecast, that's brilliant. One thing I really don't like on Steam Time is that you can easily forget one little part. Let's assume I'm claiming this action here. Then I first of all have to pay for all these pieces here. So I have to pay this. So now I have to decide this and that, for an example, pay to Steam because I needed to create it, other colors. So then I get this one here that gives me benefits, that gives me 2 Steam, I get 2 victory points and all of that. And now I'm forgetting to, oh, that was a red action here, and I should get, because I have 2 more crystals here, this one, to get another bonus action with a time person. However, simply sometimes you're forgetting these 2 crystals on the red action because there's so much going on the red action that you can easily oversee this action here. That was my personal favorite of Steam Time, and also my not so favorite part on Steam Time. See you next time. Niels Cyril's Brettspiele. Bye bye.
Okay, well today we're going to be taking a look here at the Meeples Source Power Grid replacement pieces. Now I had already replaced my Power Grid pieces with LitGo pieces, okay? So these are some of the pieces for LitGo. You can see that they have little pieces of coal and oil barrels that would stand up. And unfortunately, I think those are not even remotely as nice as the Meeples Source ones. Now, in the interest of fairness, I also want to show the ones that Jamie Stegmeyer made here And these are the pieces from his upgrade kits that he sells, his treasure chests. And so looking at these both, now I've already taken a look at these, but I like to compare them both. Now when it comes to coal, the Stonemaier game pieces here look like little pieces of coal, and these here from Meeples Source are brown with, you know, they're kind of in the shape of coal. I think the clear winner here for me is the ones, are the Stonemaier games. For the oil barrels, I think it's a wash. I think these oil barrels look great. I like having them. They feel nice and heavy. But these little oil barrels from Meeples Source also look really good. They're smaller, but they're fine. For the garbage cans, this one's a tough one. I mean, these garbage cans are really cool looking from Stonemaier, but these are a little bit more economical and probably won't roll around as much. So I could use either of those, I think. When it comes to the nuclear ones, I actually think that while the Stonemaier ones are fine in this regard, I think that the Meeples Source ones are better. I really like these. So if I'm putting together my own custom set of Power Grid, and I'm going to be using I'm going to use the Meeples Source nuclear ones for sure. Possibly the garbage. I haven't decided on it yet, but I will probably use the other two from Stegmaier Games. But hey, I got the best of both worlds. But anyway, I mean, having all these or all these is both really a cool thing. The Litco ones were nice, you know, in use and stuff, but I'd rather have these. These look much cooler. So anyway, Power Grid upgrade pieces from Meeples Source and Stonemaier Games.
Hi, my name's Dave Adams. Welcome to Good Game, Better Gamers. Recently, I've been discussing a couple of challenges I took on to play every game in my collection, and the 10 by 10 challenge where I play 10 games 10 times as a way of appreciating my games on a deeper level. Right now, I want to share with you the next few in the list of games that I chose for the 10 by 10 challenge and why. Legendary Encounters and Alien Deck Builder. Utilizing this alien theme just really spoke to me as a fan of sci-fi and as a fan of the franchise. The mechanics are good, and just the way it all works together, it just builds suspense and tension really well. I really enjoy doing the missions because they really do remind me of the films, plus all of the lines from the films that are firing during the game. It's a great experience, and I love playing this game with my friends. Next up is the collaboration between the two Brunos, Bruno Cathala, Bruno Fiorduti, who did Mission Red Planet, which it just hits me on so many levels, this game, with the role selection, which I love, and how they interact with the game and impact the game differently. The area control, which is a mechanic I dearly love. So this game just works brilliantly. It has enough richness in decision making as well as enough randomness in gameplay that it creates for an interesting, fun, and often very exciting conclusion to games. Next is a game created by Phil Walker Harding, who I think takes the mechanics of Seven Wonders and applies them beautifully into this game called Sushi Go. It's such a scaled down version of it, but it utilizes everything so well. It's got great artwork. It's fun to play. I can play it with people of any age, really. It's a great set collection game, and it's well worth it. That's all for this week, and next week I'm going to go through the rest, and then after that we're going to have a discussion about the sorts of things I learned by playing these games as regularly as I have been. Until then, my name's Dave Adams, and you enjoy your breakfast.
Hello! My name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here to talk to you today about games for children of around 5 and under. And today we're going to talk about this game. What is it, Cora?
Rory Story Cubes.
Rory Story Cubes. Now, this isn't so much of a game as an activity, but it's something that we find sold in game shops and online and game stores and things like that, so I'm counting it anyway. So, what do you have to do in Rory Story Cubes, Cora?
Yeah, you get different cubes and put them in a line.
Yeah.
And it goes one person and then another.
That's right. We use these story cubes, these little dice, and each dice has a different picture on each side, and there are all sorts of pictures here. The castles and scary eyes and scary bills maybe.
And fire.
And fire! Woo! But the best way of explaining it is probably just to show you. So here's us playing Rory Story Cubes. Alright. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful sheep.
And that day, there was a rainbow right over the sheep.
Oh. And the sheep thought, I know, I'll follow the rainbow right to the end. And at the end was A magic fairy with a wand.
And she was carrying a magic flower. And the fairy gave the magic flower to sheep.
So, Rory Story Cubes. It's a really nice little activity to play with kids of all ages, really. There are multiple ways of playing it, as I say. This is the way that we play it. So, me and Cora both like it very much, and I give it 2 thumbs up. Cora? 2 thumbs up.
One of the best-selling games of all time is the original collectible card game, Richard Garfield's genre-creating Magic the Gathering. For the better part of a quarter century, this game has been outselling pretty much everything. And the prevailing wisdom has been that if you want to have a successful brick-and-mortar game store, you need to sell Magic cards. But the question is, does that wisdom hold true for board game cafes? No. See you next time. What? I answered the question. Why are they still watching? At Snakes and Lattes, we operated quite successfully for almost 6 years without touching Magic the Gathering or any collectible games, be it cards or miniatures. But in August of 2016, we decided to test the waters and we started the weekly Draft and Draft Magic event for casual Magic players. These events were so successful that at the start of September, we introduced Monday Magic, a weekly casual Magic event. I first got into Magic back in 1993, and it was amazing. The fantasy theme, the cool art, the innovative gameplay, my friends and I played it a lot. We played together amongst ourselves. We usually played for ante, but it was very casual. Now, we didn't really have any interest in playing competitively. Maybe it was because we were all a bunch of misanthropes who really didn't like strangers, but part of it was the energy of the competitive tournament Magic scene just didn't really do it for us. So Magic is still a cool game all these years later, but for Snakes and Lattes, the Magic customer base was a market that we weren't really interested in courting for a variety of reasons. So, what's changed? We figured a way to maintain the casual fun atmosphere of Snakes and Lattes while still encouraging new players to discover or maybe rediscover a cool game that has been a part of the gaming hobby for a quarter of a century. The Draft and Draft format lets you experience the thrill of building your own deck and pitting it against other people's without the risk of meeting that one hardcore fan who spent thousands of dollars building a kill everything deck out of nothing but the rarest and most valuable cards. And if you're lucky, at the end of the night, you win some free cards to help seed your collection. Will Magic the Gathering continue to be part of Snakes and Lattes? Probably. Should it be part of your board game cafe? Well, that depends on the crowd you want to attract, how many resources you want to throw at supporting it, and whether or not locals in your area have their Magic needs supported by others. The good news is, Magic the Gathering doesn't have to be the cornerstone of your business. You can use it, it can be an asset, or you can ignore it completely and still be successful. If your local board game cafe supported Magic the Gathering, would that make you more or less inclined to pay a visit to them? Let us know in the comments below.
I came across an old photograph recently, which was absolutely fine and didn't break my heart at all. But the photograph after that was of my board game collection circa 2 months after I started my board game collection. Now on that photograph of my original 14 games, Lost Valley, Mission Red Planet, Valley of the King and The Resistance, I definitely nailed that. We're all included. And I'll tell you something about those 4 games, what they all have in common, right? Is I've never played any of them. Not once. They just sit on my shelf, looking sad. A lot of games have come and gone in and out of my collection, but those 4 games that I've never played have always stayed, and I don't know why I keep them. I mean, I bought them with the intention of playing them, probably, so why can't I get rid of them? I mean, what is the point of having games in your collection that you're never gonna play? Is there one? So what games do you have in your collection that you never play? And more importantly, why do you keep them? Let me know.
That is the end of Board Game Breakfast. I hope to see some of you this week in Connecticut. I hope to see some of you as time goes by in just various places. You ever come down to the Miami area, please let us know. So live Q&A tonight at 9 o'clock. Don't forget, I'm going to be announcing who won the Board Game Breakfast contest, as well as who announced the overall contest. Both those winners will be announced tonight at the live thing. And if you miss it, that will be on YouTube and you can come back and watch it this week. But don't wait too long, because we're going to want the winners to contact us as soon as they possibly can. Anyhow, thanks everybody. I hope it's been a great week of gaming for you, and I hope this coming week is amazing, both gaming and out of gaming. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and this has been Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.